So I think this is a question that we should often talk about more, because when we talk about who are our favorite wrestlers right now, who are our best wrestlers right now, it's going to change every single day. Even the list I have for you that we're going to go through, it has changed constantly because I wake up and go, what about that person? What about this person? And that's why, one, it's so hard to combine it down just to 10, and also why it's somewhat of a redundant question, because it's always going to depend on your mood in every single given day. But given that it was more challenging than I did expect, and because somebody asked me this question on social media, I was like, we should answer it on a video. I want to make sure you put your list down there as well, and it can be anybody, right? It could be somebody that is on an independent show that you go and visit every single month. I've gone for people from WWE and AEW just because they're the two big companies, but I tell you, you'll make that 10 and then somebody else will pop into your brain, so I'm absolutely going to regret this tomorrow. And some of these surprised me as well, because number 10 was Bron Breakker. That's right. Now, very sadly, I wrote this list and the poor man got a horrible hernia, so I hope he's doing okay. I think he's come in and gone out of surgery now, the other way around. But in terms of brand new people that have arrived in WWE over the last few years, who I feel like I've gravitated towards kind of quickly, it was him. And now, obviously, it starts with the way that he looks. It starts with the fact he's a Steiner, which makes it more interesting. It starts with everything he does do it down in NXT, where it kind of just feels like he is born to do this professional wrestling stuff. But I think actually now, what really got me into him was how nuts he is, right? I remember when he first cut that big promo, it was just after he sort of beat up Seth Rollins, or maybe just before. When he went totally crazy, I think it was at CM Punk, he didn't come across like cool heel. He didn't come across like badass heel, even though there's badass written on his singlet. He came across like an insane lunatic, which is what Scott Steiner, his uncle, was always very good at doing. And there's definitely something to that. It's different, it's unique. It doesn't sound like your usual wrestling promo, even though he does have the usual wrestling cadence. He comes across as somebody who just has lost their mind and has no chill, right? He has no chill. And we all know, I think he's great in the ring. I like his smash mouth style. And that's what it's all about, right? When he's going to have a match, he's somebody I want to watch. I want to know what feuds he's going to be into. Is he going to win the World Championship? What's his WrestleMania plan? If he does take on Seth Rollins, do I want Seth Rollins to win as the more experienced guy, or do I think Bron should get a one-up? And he ticks all of those boxes. I look forward to seeing how WWE is going to book him every single week, which I assume probably means I'm more invested in him than I realized. So absolutely, flies in there at number 10. I think towards the end of the year, he'll probably be higher. He's in a very interesting position right now. Quite clearly has been dubbed the future, but given all the morning parts in WWE, we keep kind of postponing it, but also I do understand that because he's never going to get bad. Like, one of the reasons I think you should always pull the trigger as much as possible is because of injury, which is why we should get to CM Punk and Cody Rhodes before it's too late, to use exaggerate language. But I really like Bron Breakker. I think he has a great future ahead of him. He has a great future now. The man is just so entertaining to watch. He has a badass spear. He hits the ropes at 23 miles an hour. What more do you want? Number 9 is where it gets much more interesting, because this person wasn't on my list at first, and I was like, you know what? She's got to get in, and it's Asuka, right? One of, if not the best wrestlers of the modern generation, for sure. It's not only the fact she never has a bad match, it's not only that she came back last year after a really long layoff, I think with a leg injury or knee injury, and somehow just fell back into wrestling like it was nothing, but it's everything she's been doing with Kairi Sane. Now, when I was making this list, I realised, oh man, they went on Raw after the Raw Rumble, which I thought was a massive shame. I need to know, are they still alive? Did Asuka kill Kairi Sane after she accidentally knocked her out of the Rumble? But, I mean, for starters, she wants to play a heel, and she just wants to be a horrible person. Sometimes when she is yelling at Kairi, I'm like, oh my God, somebody needs to go in there and help them, because it's absolutely terrible. But it's just everything about her is so damn good. The presentation on the entrance, again, the way she works her matches. I think she's incapable of having a bad match. I think she's the female AJ Styles. If you said, name me a bad Asuka match, I'm like, I can't think of any of them. Especially not in WWE as of late, because she raises everybody else's game. And everything they have been doing as the Kabuki Warriors, I just think has been absolutely fantastic. And it's difficult to do that, right? It's difficult to be told your character is you're an abusive, manipulative a-hole, and you have to take this person that's going to come across as quite innocent and quite sweet, and you need to wreck them. That's what you need to do, but they play off each other so well. Kairi Sane isn't in this list, and it should be Asuka/Kairi Sane, because again, they work so well together. But I don't think Asuka gets the praise that she deserves. I don't want to wait until she's retired and then give her the praise. I want to put it on her now, especially because she arguably adapted to the WWE environment perfectly. I would argue the old regime didn't necessarily understand it, although she did win the Royal Rumble, which was cool in 2019, was that? 2018? I think it was 2019, I can't remember. But ever since she has come back, I actually think she could be used in a higher position. And while they have kind of had matches already, I would love a proper feud for the world title between Rhea Ripley and Asuka, just because I think they'd be able to hit such a crazy high, especially on a big stage. So she's got to be in here. Again, even though it's through worry, I'm so excited to see what she is going to do on Raw every every single week, and you may have seen them. Please visit my TikTok, just search for my name. We do those badly or ruining wrestling promo segments where I pretend I'm the wrestling producer and I cut things up in a certain way to make them funnier, or at least they make me laugh, but what do I know? And Asuka and Kairi Sane together are absolute gold. She's an absolute genius. She's an all-time. I think she's great. Number 8 is probably going to be a controversial one, although I don't think it should be. I think CM Punk fits into this bracket as well. This one doesn't even have to be that long. We just repeat what I said a few minutes ago. I always want to see what he's going to do. And at the moment, he's having this feud with Finn Balor. Please watch my video from the other day about Monday Night Raw when we talked about those feuds. And sure, Finn Balor is not going to win. My fantasy prediction is Dominic Mysterio gets involved, and that leads us to Finn Balor versus Dom at WrestleMania for the IC title. Finn Balor wins and goes babyface again. So the feud does have worth. It's just going to sort of connect itself to something else. But the way Punk does his promos, the way that Punk speaks, the way that Punk kind of emits everything, he just makes everything feel like such a big deal. Like the fact he came out on Raw and said, you know, you're not an afterthought, Finn Balor, you're my first thought, even before Roman Reigns. I understand it's a small thing, but sometimes people don't do that, even though it is super simple and anybody could. And it's been the same with everything that he's done. And ever since he has been world champion, I think he said it himself, and speaking about Roman Reigns, I don't think he called him a sports entertainer per se, but I think he said Roman Reigns does cinema and I do pro wrestling. And I really know what CM Punk means by that, even though it's a little bit over the top. But he is right. You don't have to think people go, he's not very athletic or he gets gassed all the time. I don't believe in any of that, but if you want to say it, fine. I just think he looks at a match and he figures out, how do I make this feel like a fight? How do I make it feel like two people winning? How do I make it feel that we care about what we're doing? Hence why that Roman Reigns and CM Punk promo was so good, because I think they both approached it in that fashion. So he really does fall into this filter of, what is CM Punk doing? How is he going to make me more interested? And 9 times out of 10, he does, right? It goes all the way back to AEW as well. I always think about the Eddie Kingston feud. The Eddie Kingston feud just had me on tenterhooks. I was like, what is going to happen here? And I think some of that grittiness has come over to his WWE character, especially since he did win that World Heavyweight Championship. So super pumped to see Roman versus CM Punk too. For that very reason, I would presume that Roman Reigns would win, but would I be confident? No, because if anyone, it's going to make me believe the alternative, it's going to be flipping CM Punk. Number 7, I wanted to throw Willow Nightingale in there because I don't think anyone that walks around spreading so much positivity shouldn't be in the list. And I just think she is fun to watch. She's like a joy. Harley Cameron as well has to get a tick box in there too, because as the Babes of Wrath, I think they play off each other well. But the thing with Willow Nightingale is she's very Orange Cassidy. You could kind of lean into the gimmick so much and go, oh, she's just a happy-go-lucky wrestler. Isn't that nice? But she's also really good and showcased her different sides in many occasions. It was All Out 2024, right? Was that the one that came soon after All In? And her and Chris Statlander had that Chicago street fight. It absolutely kicked ass. That did give her edge, and that was good because Adam Copeland did go to AEW. But the whole time she's kept up this happy, positive, smiley persona, especially in promos. And I really do think that at some point, if you wanted to make her the world champion, she could absolutely carry the division. That's how good I think she is. If anything, she needs more promo time to get her character across. There's never been anything that she's been involved in that I haven't been like, oh, I'd like to check this out. I'd like to see what Willow Nightingale was doing. And she makes you feel a certain way about watching wrestling because you know she's just enjoying herself. And that's the same with any kind of entertainment medium you watch. If the performer is having fun, it almost gives permission for you to have fun. And then surprise, surprise, you are having fun. I suppose it's an odd comparison, but Vince McMahon used to tell babyfaces, including The Rock when he got booed at the building in the mid-90s, just smile all the time, because his idea was if you smile at someone, they may smile back at you and have a connection. That's a little bit redundant, but I can see where he was coming from, I suppose. But it's the same with Willow Nightingale. She comes out, she's happy, and then she will kick somebody's ass, so you're getting the best of both worlds. It's like a Kurt Angle situation. When you're that good in the ring, you can be an absolute jackass on the outside, and Willow Nightingale chooses to be happy. I do think they'll lose the tag team championship soon, but of course, she's the TBS champion. I hope she gets a proper run. I hope we can build on her character and, again, give her more promo time, because I don't think we touch the surface of this. I think there's loads to go. Right, number 6 is when we get into the deep cuts, right? Because this one I was starting to think, well, there's going to be some obvious names in there. But when I think about programming, who am I most excited to see randomly on an episode of Collision or whatever? And it's Claudio Castagnoli, arguably the most underrated wrestler doing the rounds right now. His freakish strength doesn't make any sense. Of course, he's bald, my bald brother, shout out to Claudio. But he almost kind of does feel a background role at the moment. I don't want to say that because he's a pivotal part of the Death Riders, but he's not been doing anything major on Dynamite recently. It's mostly been reserved for Collision, but he's just so good. I mean, I actually think AEW is the perfect environment for him because if you give him a microphone, he can cut a promo. It's not the best promo of all time, but not everything has to be the best of the worst. It drives me crazy. He's more than capable, but put him in any kind of sort of high-stakes situation, and good grief, that man is going to hit a home run, right? I think he is absolutely terrific, and it's why I'm so happy there is an AEW for those people to thrive. Because in WWE, arguably different different now, but back in the day, Claudio would have his month, 2 months when he was on top, and then all of a sudden it would be over. Like, oh, no, you didn't become Stone Cold Steve Austin. Not everybody should be Stone Cold Steve Austin. I just love Claudio Castagnoli's work. And as a man that does wrestle, I often kind of make notes. This is true. I often make notes go, why did he do that? And I try and figure it out. And again, it's those small things. He is so far above the level that some people sort of mention. I'm going to cheat a bit here because I also wanted to throw Rhea Ripley into the mix as well, because there's this bizarre idea now that she's overpushed or she's not a massive star. I understand it's a very small contingent on the internet, but I like to fight back against all of this. She is a massive star. I watched the Royal Rumble with non-fans and everyone was like, wow, who is this? When Rhea Ripley came out. She's doing great stuff in the tag team scene. Eventually she'll be back in the singles scene as well. I'm glad she's in the Elimination Chamber. These people don't grow on trees, right? It comes from in the abyss. We don't know. Sometimes it's just one of those magical factors you have no idea. So even though this entry is for Claudio, I want Rhea Ripley in there too because she is another one. I would argue the Io Rhea Sky team, that was a weird way to pronounce that, has kind of moved her to the side a bit, but that's important because then you open up other slots for other people. I suppose you could argue that she could still be being portrayed as a bigger star on Raw. They've kind of marginalised her a bit, which was the intention. I'm not saying they've done by accident, but maybe it is time just to get back to go, listen, man, shrug emoji, she a big deal. Number 5 is Cody Rhodes. Everyone's going to get mad about that, or at least a few people are. I just think he's great. I love that he's a whiter-than-white meat babyface. I love it that when he gets all mad like a Drew McIntyre, you can still feel his goodness coming through. I love his promos. I love it when he does get riled up and he says certain stuff and he kind of talks in poetry and riddles. I just think Cody Rhodes is the best. And I still really am riding on the fumes, which is not the best term, since he came back in 2022, whatever it was, or 23, whichever one. That WrestleMania comeback was awesome. Winning the title at WrestleMania 40 was awesome. The fact he lost it so soon after he gaining it at SummerSlam 2025, awesome. Let's do different things and let's keep guessing. I don't think there's any need for a heel turn now. I know a lot of people are clamoring for it. I think we have loads of juice left in this tank, and let's earn that heel turn. Let's put a good story in line. Like and it could happen, right? I get it. But even if it did turn out that Cody Rhodes attacked Jacob for 2, I'd be like, why? That doesn't tie into Cody's character. You'd have to have a really good idea. That's because he knows who he is. He does sit on top of the company. Maybe it's sort of changed a little bit now. But as the face of WWE, I just think he's great. I just think he's brilliant. And I just think to have that kind of, again, super good guy, superhero man, I'm going to do all this good stuff in the world, but also I'll kick your ass if I have to, in the modern day is just so damn rare. I mean, we talked about someone like CM Punk that's a babyface. He doesn't have that. Roman Reigns doesn't have that. Who else would be in that? Randy Orton, he doesn't have that. But Cody is like, nope. I'm just going to be a good person all in all, but I'll also go a bit crazy as and when. I just think the man rules. And I think sometimes we can forget that because it's the opposite of absence makes the heart grow fonder when somebody is there all the time. We criticize them a bit more. That dude is the best. Number 4, goodbye comments. I don't understand why people get so riled up about this. And I will tell you, you can go watch my reviews and everything I talked about this episode of Raw. I didn't actually like what Becky Lynch and AJ Lee did on this week's episode of the show, but that's not a big deal. They can't hit home runs in my life all of the time. What kind of sociopath would I be to believe that? But good grief, do I think Becky Lynch is one hell of an all-timer professional wrestler. A lot of times I think we react to, I don't even know, like a single promo or a single match that we didn't specifically like, and then we turn it into they're the worst person ever. Or they're the worst wrestler ever, I should say. Although some people do take over that line, which you shouldn't do. But go back all the way to, let's say she blew up in 2017, 2018, that era. Everything she did then, at one point she was the biggest star in WWE. None of this men-women stuff. That's why they main evented WrestleMania 35. But since then, I think the heel run she's doing now is better than her first heel run, but that was still damn entertaining, by the way. But her good guy stuff is super duper whooper good guy, and she really was putting on some really incredible feuds for a while there, especially with the Charlotte stuff and the Ronda Rousey and other ones as well. And now what she's doing is she's just trying to have fun like Cyndi Lauper. And again, the AJ Lee thing was a little bit off for my personal taste, but that doesn't mean that it was the wrong thing to do. But mostly, especially when they were doing the AJ Lee, CM Punk, Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch match, Becky Lynch was putting on performances of the year, not even as a wrestler, just with a look here and there or something that she would say or the way that she would react. I think she tried to carry that on Monday and it just didn't work, right? It didn't land in the way that I hoped that it would. But I think that she has proven herself to be a chameleon. She has proven herself to be a consistent worker, and then some. She can be in big matches, she can be in mid-card matches, and I always just like it. Like, I did enjoy the start of Raw when CM Punk and AJ Lee were walking along and Becky Lynch had a meltdown in the background. It didn't make any sense, but I don't want wrestling to make any sense. And I actually think on another night I would have enjoyed the promo too, but like I say, it was a swing and a miss from my my vantage point. But if they tried it again, I bet that it would work. I just think she brings a level of entertainment to the show where she doesn't take herself too seriously, and she understands what wrestling is, and I would probably argue she knows she's nearer to the end of her career, so the beginning of her career, so she just wants to have fun. I've also read her book. That is going to make you like the person even more, because my gosh, what an incredible journey she has had. I'll never understand the criticism. I'll never understand Becky Hogan when quite clearly it feels like she's trying to raise the women's game up. Doesn't always work. I know the live Valkyria match at SummerSlam. We don't know the ins or outs, and live Valkyria is going to be fine anyway, but I like Becky Lynch, and I think Becky Lynch is great, and long live Becky Lynch. Number 3 is Kenny Omega. Dude is just a star, right? He comes out, I'm like, oh my God, it's Kenny Omega. There's a part of my brain, I guess because I was so intrinsically into all the New Japan stuff from, 2016, 17, 18, I suppose, that even having Kenny Omega on American shores is like, wow. And he's probably a guy that's never going to go to WWE, which I actually think increases his mystique. But recently as well, he's kind of fallen back into that main event pattern, that main event role on AEW. And as of right now, I just think he's awesome. Again, he just has that magic something that you can't put your finger on. And the fact that he got beaten by Andrade and then got into it with Swerve, I was like, I'll take Kenny Omega versus Swerve Strickland. So it's just thumbs up all round. And there's also going to be, I think on some level, although this is taking far too much away from him, but given that he did get over the diverticulitis stuff, or get not over it, but over it enough to get back in the ring, that does make you go, we should appreciate him while he's here. Because one day he is going to retire and we will look back and go, he may be the best professional wrestler ever. Because in big time situations, nobody is better. And because he does have that moniker attached to him, even if he is going to a match with Swerve and the belt's not on the line, you're still like, oh my gosh, Kenny Omega versus Swerve. If he does get the MJF World title match, you'd be like, oh man, Kenny Omega could win that. If he goes to have a match with Hangman Adam Page, or he teams up with someone to take on the Young Bucks again, no matter who you put Kenny Omega against, not only does the other person have a great match, but somehow it just elevates it. And that's what I want from my television show, right? Given that we get it every single week and it never ends, I want people to come out when I go, that dude is a star, and that dude has my attention, and Kenny Omega does it all the time, right? He doesn't cut that many promos, but he still talks. But mostly that's just Kenny Omega. Now, there is a nerd side of me that would love to see him in WWE, just from how the flub is this happening. But even if he never does it, it doesn't matter. He will still go down as one of the best wrestlers ever. And right now, since he has come back from that injury, I just think the dude is flying. Man, am I pumped to see what he's going to do in 2025. Number 2, we stick with AEW as well. It's interesting because people always say, oh, sorry, you like WWE more than AEW. I like them both the same. And sometimes I don't like them because it's about professional wrestling and not 3 letters that exist in the top of a building. But MJF is my guy. MJF has been my guy for a while. I think Dynamite has improved ever since All Elite Wrestling has returned. I love the fact he became the champion end of last year. Yeah, that's correct. I just think he feels unique and he feels different. And some people like to go, he just cuts the same promo all the time. But you could say that about a lot of pro wrestlers. I just think that man, he says it himself, right? And I'm going to get so much grief for this, but bring it on. I get it anyway. I do think he's a generational talent because he's not even 30. He's really good in the ring, way better than people give him credit for. But because he kind of does less is more, people forget that. He does have a unique promo style that gets headlines, makes him stand out. And we've seen it, right? You can put him against the best of the best, and he's able to hold his own, if not actually usurp them, which is an incredible thing to say. If you can do it with CM Punk, you can do it with anyone. I really think that's true fact. And he did it with Cody Rhodes, right? These are the 2 WWE guys we've seen him interact with, and he took that bat and he knocked it out the park. But that's really what it comes down to. When he won the World Championship and we get into these shows, I'm like, I want to see what he's going to do. Who's he going to face? Sounds like it could be Andrade versus MJF, right? Or it could be Hangman. And there's a big part of me is like the heel should win. Now, people then go, oh, he's not a very good heel. That's just not how it works anymore in 2025. And he's entertaining, and when you do put a microphone in his hand, I never know what he's going to say. And that kind of cuts across to his matches too, because I'm like, well, he'll do anything because he's a piece of trash. And he's meant to be a piece of trash. I love MJF. I really, really do. And if it wasn't for the last few weeks, he probably would be number 1, but the Destroyer arrived. Now, Oba Femi has been my dude since I saw him in NXT. You can find tweets that I did years ago that started to get shared the other day again, which goes to prove that he's kind of blowing up social media right now. But to see him arrive on the main roster and do his walk and do his promos and his shouting and just everything about him, Oba Femi is my favorite wrestler right now. I always go back to this video. Please do try and find it and watch it. And it's about having guys in wrestling. And I don't mean that in terms of, men or female or anything. I just mean somebody comes out on wrestling. They don't do much. They don't necessarily cut an amazing promo. They don't have an amazing match. They don't win a big title. But you're just like, that's my guy. The one that I always go back to was Rusev in 2016. He wasn't doing anything of note. Well, he did come out of a tank at WrestleMania. But there was something about him where I was like, I think if the WWE machine gets behind behind this. He's going to blow up and become a star. Didn't happen. Rusev Day, we know the whole story. As soon as I saw Oba Femi, as good as he was in NXT, I was like, this dude is just built for a much bigger stage. He is built for Raw and SmackDown, and every single thing he has done, from really John Cena's last show, Saturday Night's Main Event at the end of December, through to the Royal Rumble, and now even through to these videos, it's why I don't want him in the Elimination Chamber. I wouldn't have put him in the Royal Rumble. If Oba Femi is not going to win, we shouldn't be putting him in losing scenarios. He has to beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. You may have noticed from my content, I'm pretty much hit and miss with wrestling. I get something I like, awesome. Something doesn't happen, who cares, man? I got real problems, I'll move on. But if Oba Femi takes on Brock Lesnar and loses to WrestleMania, I'm going full nerd, and I'm going on the internet, and I'm going to complain about it. There's more to it as well, but the walk is a massive deal, because that is one of those things, it goes back to my Repo Man discussion. Repo Man I loved, because you can do whatever you want in wrestling, and it will work if you commit to it in the right way. The strut, as Oba Femi calls it, doesn't make any sense out of context, but when he comes out with that music and the entrance and the theming and the atmosphere and just his whole aura, to use 2026 words, it's like he's marching into war, which I bet is the idea. And now you see in those squash matches, he finishes entrance pose after he's beaten them up. And yes, I talked about it. I thought it was a shame that the War Raiders got caught up in that, only because the Raw Tag Team division, I don't think, is where it needs to be. But Oba Femi throwing two big dudes around and then doing all that stuff with Kit Wilson, he just ticks all the boxes, I should say. He is the final boss. That's what I was going to say next. He should be the WWE champion and World Heavyweight champion for the end of the year. Speed champion, Heritage Cup, Women's Championship, Women's Tag Team Championship, Raw Men's Tag Team Championship, SmackDown Tag Team Championship. Give them all. I'm not even finishing my words. That man can be on top of that company for as long as he wants if the machine does get behind him. It does feel like it's going to happen. That's why, as of February the 10th, 2026, Oba Femi is my favorite wrestler. Change tomorrow. Now, seriously, get into this properly. Think about it. Don't just write a top 10 list. Think about the people you've left out. And I tell you, man, it will send you down a crazy spiral. Then please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the notification bell. Click the video on the screen to get my thoughts on that Finn Balor and CM Punk stuff. I think more is coming. Otherwise, isgrillermind.com/Simon. Please use code Simon to get 10% off. Great supplements, and I advise that you use them. Same as patreon.com/Simon316. Come and call me an idiot, as loads of people are recently. I like it. Engage on social media, like I said, Simon316. And then it's TikTok, it's Cameo, and it's Pro Wrestling Tees to support me there. Drop me your 10 favorite wrestlers right now. It can be anyone. It could be Tozawa. He was awesome on Raw. It just depends how you feel about these people. I'll see you soon.